everybody. Many would-be retirees a little nervous about starting their golden years amid wild swings on Wall Street, uncertain economy, a lot of uncertainty in the world right now, right? Does that mean this is a bad time to retire?
Here to weigh in, our guy, Michael Masserant, Retirement Education Foundation. So we'll just start there. Is it a bad time to retire?
So it's never a bad time to retire if you've mapped this out and you know that you can afford to retire. You know, we've been teaching the classes for retirees for almost, actually a little over 10 years now. There's never been a point where everyone feels okay. There's never a time when there isn't some risk with the economy or geopolitical events. There's always something going on that causes people to think, well, is now a good time to retire? And because none of us can predict the future, no one has the answer to, well, the next 3 years are going to be great years for the stock market, so I'll retire now. No one knows that. So because we can't know that, the answer is understanding how much do you need to retire, when are you going to spend money, from which accounts, at which times, and understanding, okay, well, the stock market does drop in the first 12 months of my retirement. Great. Where can I go pull some safe cash from? So planning this out ahead of time is everything. You can't time these things.
Is there, Michael, are there certain key expenses, and we know, of course, food and shelter, that fits into that, maybe your car. I mean, are you setting up a retirement budget that looks like that, where you're looking at, okay, what are the things that, what is it going to look like in healthcare? I know is also a huge expense as we get older.
For sure. So mapping out these expenses can help you understand if stuff really hits the fan, and I need to grab, you know, the bills don't go away when the market drops. We still have to pay for food. If you might still have a mortgage, you might still have healthcare expenses. The bills do not go away. So what we're really talking about here is sequence of returns risk. And if you're within 5 years of retirement and you don't know what sequence of returns risk is, you've got to educate yourself now.
What is it?
It's #1 risk. So we spend over an hour in the class talking about this. Sequence of returns risk is once you retire, when are the good years in the stock market and when are the bad years? A lot of people focus on the average return. Well, I average 6% or 8%. When you're retired, the average return is less impactful than the sequence of the returns. Because once you retire, you're pulling money out of your nest egg. If we have a couple bad years early and you're pulling money out while the market is dropping, a lot of people have coached themselves when the market is dropping, don't panic, it's going to recover. And that's true. But when you're growing your wealth, you have time. When you're still working, when you're pulling the money out, you're compounding the losses on the way down so that when the market does recover, your portfolio will not recover.
You don't have in the pot what you used to have in the pot.
Exactly. So people, you know, historically speaking, people who retired December 2021, that was a really, in hindsight, a very unlucky time to retire because the market fell all 2022 and it took all 2023 to recover. So if someone retired December 2021 with no plan, with no bucketing structure, with no protection from sequence of returns risk, by the time the market gets back to all-time highs, which it did, we always will, they're in a lot of trouble. So that's why it's so important to map this stuff out before you retire and have a plan so that when things do go wrong, we will always have recessions and market events. You have a plan.
You're not trying to map out when the market's going to come or go. I mean, pandemic, we probably knew that was going to be a pretty rough economic situation, but beyond that, you're not trying to predict the market, you're trying to protect yourself.
Exactly. So no one can predict.
Drop.
Yes, no one can predict what's going to cause the next crash, how far it's going to fall, how long it will take to recover. No one can predict those things. But you can predict, okay, well, when am I spending how much money?
Right.
And once you map out your spending, now you can start to protect the next 1 to 3 years of income into a safer bucket. And if you know you're not touching some of your other money for 5, 10, 15 years, let those dollars be more aggressive. But until you map this out, no one knows when they're spending all these different dollars in their portfolio until they map it out.
Michael, at this core question, is now a good time to retire, though? How much does news and headlines shape somebody's feeling about that?
I mean, massively. We were talking a little earlier about, despite all the volatility this year, despite all the headlines so far this year in the stock market, we're up almost 3% year to date, and we're within 2 or 3% of all-time highs in the stock market. Now, if you go ask someone who's not looking at these numbers every single day, there's no chance they think that's the case because they've heard all the volatility and all the stock market headline fears. but we're so far up year to date, we're within all-time highs. So if someone was close to retiring, was close to having enough in January this year, and they didn't panic during April, they're going to be all the way back to where they were. But that April shock was maybe a good lesson for anyone who's near retirement of, okay, you kind of got bailed out by the quick recovery. Are you ready for the next one?
Unbelievable stuff. Great stuff.
Very interesting.
Sit tight. More coming up in the next hour.
Absolutely, yep.
All right.
Very good, Michael.